Wow. Bright light. Ooh.
Already, yeah. Once again, uh, good evening and good morning to the people. My name is Kumar Pushpak, and along with me, we have Tim Jerome from Albuquerque, New Mexico, US. Already, how was your Christmas Eve, by the way, Tim?
I had the perfect Christmas. My whole family and I are going through a transition. And we're looking at our entire lives as a life of fulfillment instead of a life of, gathering things and making more. So the exchange of gifts was such a minor part, and it was more doing things for each other. For instance, my daughter-in-law and son gave me a little cap to the overflow from the dishwasher to the sink, because one of the projects they did for me was they fixed my sink for me while I was busy this year. It was just such an incredible gift. And this is the way they're setting their path on life. And so it wasn't a huge celebration. It wasn't a bunch of parties. It was just a wonderful sense of being together and appreciating that we're here. It was a miracle.
I think this is what needed. I mean, you don't need crowd to celebrate. All you need is your dear ones to be with you and have a nice dining and a good wine and enjoy.
Yes, yes, and that we did. We always have our meals. We always have cooking together. We
Wonderful.
eat family style all the time, and it's there's nothing to replace that sense of community. How about you? How was your Christmas?
Mine was same. Mine was peaceful. I mean, we didn't have a gathering as usual. I mean, the new strain has stepped in India as well. We had
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So we had three cases in Bangalore and the rest three in the rest part of the country. So
wow.
the entire country is on high alert. There are lockdowns and curfews in place in some of the cities. But yeah, Christmas was nice, peaceful. Me, my wife, and my kid, and my parents over the phone. We celebrated. That's way.
Good,
Good.
good.
So let's. I mean, yeah, the news. Coronavirus strain. Oh gosh, what is going on with this virus in UK? Do you have an update?
They're trying really hard to find out if this virus, number one, um, has any other characteristics besides it's able to hop from person to person quickly. And there doesn't seem to be any other indicators. And there doesn't seem to be any other variant either right now. There are going to be more variants, and we're vigilant. Okay, we have people in England, we have people in France, we have people all over looking for it, and it got out of England, and it was going to, and we have to expect it. It's already in the U.S., but we just haven't found it yet. And but it's going to happen. Now, it doesn't mean that it kills more people. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that people who already had the virus are going to have this new one. We don't know that. There's no proof of that. And how many nations now have it? Let's see: Germany, Belgium, France, now India, probably the United States, and we're not finding any evidence of anything else except this. Now, with the different types of vaccines that they have out. Everybody is saying cautiously, well, we took the virus apart and we broke it down to its very basic components. And it is
Mhm.
so identical to the original virus that we're 99% confident that the vaccine is going to protect you against this new virus. So, what they're saying is, wash, keep distance, wear your mask, and wash and just practice safe living, as well as just whenever you have the vaccine, get it and keep moving forward. This was predicted. If we listen to the scientists, they're predicting other things, and we just have to expect it. One of the things that we're predicting is it's going to get rougher because of Thanksgiving, and then because of the holidays we've just had. We had more people move and travel in the United States than since March. And we
Mhm.
have to assume that we spread the virus to more places, and we're already in trouble. So, because humans are humans, because humans make mistakes and make bad decisions, we're going to suffer for it. And we have to expect this. It's not like, you can steal cookies and then you can have cookies again for dessert. It doesn't work that way, and it's the same way with this virus. We traveled, we had our cookies, and now we don't get cookies for dessert. It's going to get worse, and
Right.
it's going to overwhelm the people who are trying to keep us alive. And we keep forgetting this. We think about our own selfish self needs. We forget that there's a lot of people who are just worn out from a whole year of trying to keep humanity alive, and we're not helping them.
But tell me, coming back to the vaccine part, is there any news? Because last I heard it, it's like it's still not confirmed if the vaccine is applicable to the new strain, uh, or I mean, do you have any confirmation on that side?
No, no. One of the things that I have been watching for is how many people are allergic. And we
Mhm.
found one person who had an allergic reaction to the vaccine in the US. But other than that, no. And as soon as I hear something, I'll tell you. I'm plugged into about two or three different medical organizations, as well as I have people in the industry. So as soon as we can, and I'm not going to be able to have the shot probably until February or March. We're
Right.
in the US, we're taking care of our nurses and our doctors and our teachers and the people in long-term care and those type of people. We're gonna take care of those first, and then we're going to take
Right.
care of us.
Yeah. It's going to be in the phases, and that absolutely makes sense. By the way, India has started the trial run of the vaccine too. Yesterday was the first day, so they're gonna do it for a week, I think, a dry run, and then the distribution may begin. We still don't have the confirmed date when it's coming in. But coming back to your the new strain, right? It is told that it is more contagious. Does that mean it's arriving to us, you, and everybody else sooner than the previous
So let's assume that the original virus um, was a 1 to 3 spreadability. Okay. And that's what they assumed. If you went into a regular room with people and you had the virus, when you left that room, you would have spread it to 3. Okay. This new virus is a 1 to 7. You go into a room with people and you leave, and 7 people now have it. So just from that mathematical ratio, that's what we mean by spreadability. And so um, when we talk about fast, that's what we mean. And generally, generally, when we start seeing variants, the spreadability goes up, and the ability to take out the host, the ability to kill the host goes down. Now, we're all very hopeful that we start seeing that second factor happen, but we probably won't see anything like that happen for the next 6 months to 2 years. We
Mhm.
don't know. We can't predict anything, and we're going off of historical information. So we're hopeful. All of
Right.
humanity's hopeful, but at the same time, this is just what we have. We're in this together, guys. It's not, this is not the people's disease instead of the leader's disease. It's everybody's disease. And the really good news, Kumar, is that we're in lockstep with our leadership right now. The incoming government is already hard at work with the science industry as well as the medical industry to make sure that we do exactly the right thing. And the government is starting to do what the government should be doing, which is supporting the people, and it's getting the information and it's communicating the need for us to take care of ourselves in our neighborhoods.
It's very important to have a leadership which is trusted, right?
Oh man.
I think Biden will stick to those lines. He has a trust, and then he will do the needful the right way.
Yeah. What we need is a calm, quiet government that you don't even realize is there and is functioning like a government should. And we're very hopeful. We are very hopeful over here that that's what we get. And again, from early signs, it looks like we have something, and people are beginning to relax. We don't have certain foods at times in the stores. We don't have certain dry goods in the stores at times. And that's always frustrating. And there's only 75 people that can be in a huge grocery store at a time in my
Right.
community. But that'll pass, and we're still moving forward. We're still making a little money. We're still keeping our stores active, which is really wonderful.
Right. Yeah, I mean, with the norms to be followed, I think the business can. I mean, not it cannot go normal. I mean, not normal, but yeah, it can actually function. It can
Yeah,
actually.
and you and I talked about this. This is you and I are in a unique situation in our communities. We're flourishing because of the needs of people in these extreme times. But at the same time, there are signs that in the United States that we're not just giving our money to the big box stores and the huge grocery stores. We're starting to actually support the small businesses that are at greatest at risk. We don't want them to go away because they're the heart and soul of a lot of things. The bookstores, the small grocers, the cheese makers, the local honey providers. We don't want those guys to go away. We want them to be here when we can come out and give them lots of money.
Can you put some more details on this? What government is doing it from their side to keep this small businesses, the small business owners like the shopkeepers, I mean these people. How government is helping there in US?
Well, up until about a month and a half, 2 months ago, it was up to the individual states to take care
Hmm.
of that. And the state governors were providing subsidies, you know,
Hmm.
loans that were easy to pay back, as well as um, paying for the employees on furlough and having unemployment as a supplementary income, and they're running dry. The states are having a hard time. Now, there are other states that are doing really well, but
Hmm.
other certain states aren't. Now we're having a trouble here in New Mexico. All of a sudden, everybody's migrating to New Mexico, and we're freaking out.
Oh.
It's like, yeah, it's been on the news the last three, and I've talked 3 days, and I've talked to you about this, Kumar. We're isolated. We have the fourth largest state in the nation, and we only have like 1.8 million people who live here. It's
Hmm.
it's 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 a desert, and if you had a farm, it would be almost impossible to live. And like what, 90%, 70, I'll say 70% of
Hmm.
the income of our state is driven by federal money. What, either government employees or their state government employees or something like that. And now we have all of these people from New York, from Florida, from California, Washington State, Oregon, Nebraska. Everybody's coming here. This is that mass migration that always happens. We saw this in 535 to 550 A.D. with
Hmm.
the bubonic plague, with the Antonine plague. We saw this where everybody left Rome, and the rich people went out to their villas while the poor people stayed in the Roman tenements in town and died. And so what we're experiencing is just that. A lot of people are coming out here, and they're selling their homes, and they, for one home they sell in certain parts of the country, they can buy four homes here. And
Wow.
it's with the ability to work remotely. This is, we're trying to even wrap our heads around it right now. Now, to get back to what the federal government is doing, there is a bill that's being passed that's going to help individuals. It's going to help small businesses, and it's going to help states, and it's going to provide states a little bit of support in their endeavors, and that's the way it should be. The federal government should be, you know, standing behind each one of the individual states, and we haven't seen that to date. Another thing is that there are not rumors
Hmm.
uh, that money has been siphoned from the federal government to, to the pockets of wealthy individuals. There's evidence, and after the transition of January, all that's going to get sorted out. Um, it's again, it's human behavior. When you're working in a hamburger stand, it's very easy for you to cook yourself a free hamburger while
Right.
you're feeding, and you know, it's very difficult to work in a hamburger stand and not have free meals while everybody else is waiting for you to eat. And so we're going to be actually sorting all that out for the next 3 to 4 years. It's this happens in society. It happens in local government, and it's evident in federal government that there's been too much of this. And so we're getting a handle on that. And so our incoming government is going to have its hands full. It's going to be busy, getting back to business.
Right. No, I think uh, all the governments are doing something or the other for their people. Like in India, uh, one major, I mean, yeah, there has been AIDS, there has been uh, subsidiary, uh, there has been some packages announcement. Yeah, these are common. But one good thing that which came in my favor too was tax. The annual tax returns filing dates were postponed.
Yeah.
So yeah, so normally it used to be in the April. I mean, April, May, June. Yeah, June you had to file your returns and everything out there. But because of COVID, the government actually postponed it. So it's now this month, December 31st is the last day of your file return. So, likewise, I think all the governments are doing their bit. Now, coming back to the new strain of the virus, uh, now we knew that the vaccine is already coming on the table. Sooner or later, everybody will have it, right? Uh, but this new strain which is coming into play, Tim, what are the threats you see uh, from the previous one? Do you see any new threats coming into big play?
From the virus, no. From the
Mhm,
people, yes. It's human behavior.
mhm,
It's basically always vigilant, right? Semper vigilis. How do we maintain the steadfastness that we did for a year and still be this way and still keep standing? This is the tough part. When you do jumping jacks or you do push-ups or you do crunches, it's not the first 20 that are hard. It's the last 20 that are the most difficult. And we're not anywhere near the last 20 of the exercises that we're going through right now. And so we have to maintain vigilance. And so we have to do this. And if anything can pull us through, it's the work of the people together to keep on task and keep doing what we've done that works well. We proved it in New Mexico last year with that article that I
mhm,
shared with you. We can do it. It's just it's just that everybody has to do it. It's like, how do you clean up garbage?
mhm,
Everybody picks up pieces. And that's where I think we're going to get tired, because there's a lot of our society is saying, I can't walk any further. And you have parts of your society who really can't walk any further. And we have small pockets of society we haven't discovered who really can't. And so we're going to find out who is able to step up and who is not. We're going to find out who's a hero and who's not over
mhm.
these next 2 to 3 months. And that's what we're going to be observing. And this is in movies, this is the best part of the show, because this is where the true heroes are made. But in
Right.
real life, we get to determine whether we're a hero or not, and we're in doubt right now. That's again, the virus is going to be the virus. It's just like a typhoon. It's just like nature, and nature is going to be nature. And the risk is not in what nature provides. It's how we perceive and respond to it. Our destiny is
Mhm,
not made in what happens to us. Our destinies are made in how we respond to what happens to us. And that's not just the government, it's not just the nation, it's me and you individually too. And this is something that we as a collective humanity have to embrace, not just accept, but embrace.
mhm.
Uh, this is something I learned when I was teaching a long time ago. The teacher cannot give students A's. The students, through their hard work and effort, uh, gain and earn A's, and that's what we're doing. We're going to earn our grade in the next
Mhm.
3 months.
Right. So, coming back to the threats, I mean, you talked about it's not the virus, but it's the human itself, right? What do you think we should do then? Uh, what's the remedy?
Well, we actually gave the remedies, didn't we? You
Mhm,
know, keep be prepared for the unknown. Pack your pack your luggage in a light manner, which means keep informed. Make sure that you're critically analyzing news, not just one news source, but even news sources you don't like. If you're liberal, watch the conservatives. If you're conservative, watch the liberal news. You don't have to like it. What you have
Mhm.
to do is say what's different. Okay? Keep informed. Talk to people. Don't have opinions that don't change. We all know that when you have an opinion, your brain freezes. And we're walking into the unknown every day from now on in humanity. And having a frozen brain means that we're not prepared. Second, um, keep keep in touch with people. Keep in touch with your strong people. My my kids have regular Zoom meetings with their friends, and they play games, and a lot of it sometimes it actually devolves into one or two of them breaking down and crying or being angry or something, and everybody just sort of chills out and relaxes and say, okay, do you feel better now? And don't worry, it's not going to rattle our relationship. We're just going to work through this because we all are going through this at separate times. And this is probably one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself as well as others. And this is what Mark's been talking about. Mark Gorkin, one of our regulars on the show. It's creating this social community that you can rely on when you feel down, but you can contribute to when others do. And it's you're going to build lifetime friendships by doing it right now. The next thing you can do is find out where you can move forward. What did not work? What worked yesterday? And what doesn't work today? Throw out what doesn't work today. You know, uh, I can't drive my car to work. Well, I'm actually thinking, what would happen if I got rid of a car? And can I actually live without two cars? Of course I can. And wouldn't that be a gift to myself? Insurance and gas and maintenance and all those things. And I'm starting to think in these type of mindsets that, what I thought my life was 3 to 5 years ago is definitely what my life is not now. My life is going for walks, and it's having exercises, and it's not driving to have coffee. It's turning on the computer and saying hi across the planet. And it's a whole different approach
Right.
to living. Not just you and I are talking about doing business, and I'm here talking about living, which is really strange. What makes healthy business makes healthy people. What makes healthy government makes healthy people. So what we're telling people, what's good and what's happening here, is what's good for us as well.
Right. I mean, it's directly related, isn't it?
Mhm. Yep.
If you
What's
have,
good? What's good for the beehive is also good for the bee. We're
oh,
we're we're in agreement there. Yeah.
right. Right. Let's look at a couple of sets of critical thinking skills, and this is a good term to be used. Critical thinking, right? Uh, you and I had been discussing on this for long, um, talking about the skepticism and the systems. How do you differentiate these two terms?
Oh boy. So we use the two terms skeptic and cynic almost identically on a regular basis, right? Um, except a cynic always thinks on the dark side of the coin, right? The negative side, the glass half empty. Um, a skeptic says, you know what? I just got two heads in a row. Probability is that it's going to land tails. I can't tell you that it is, but the probability is they actually forestall judgment. They push judgment out.
Mhm.
So when we say skepticism, we say it's not that I don't believe you. It's that I know how things work and I want to further understand so I can actually make a better personal judgment. And it's not doubting people. It's looking for greater facts to increase your confidence. So
Mhm.
that's so before we talk about critical thinking and all that, that's what I mean by skeptic. It's not making people wrong. It's actually requiring further clarification and understanding before you commit to a decision. Now, there's all sorts of mechanisms for critical thinking, but I mentioned one early on here in this show just a few minutes ago, right? It's finding sources of information that you don't necessarily like, but you still look at them. It's not that you're open-minded, okay? It's that
Mhm.
you look at them so you can see the difference between one way of thinking and the other. Okay, we are prone to habit. Okay, we do. Humans put everything they can on automation. Okay,
Mhm.
and early on we find out that things work when we're little kids, and so we automate things. Right? I I I make a ruckus around my family so they pay attention to me. I make a ruckus around my grandmother so she gives me a cookie. And pretty soon I automate this and it works really well. And this is the way we are. And we don't just do this in our personal lives, our family, we do this in our whole lives. And this is called the default self. Um, and the thing is, when we grow up, we do this about our opinions about government. I'm a conservative. I'm not a liberal. Those liberals, them have a different way of thinking, and I don't agree with it at all. Well, the problem is that's not the way thinking works because liberals have part of the information and conservatives have the other part of the information. And if I can actually sit in the middle and compare the both together, I have a better viewpoint, don't I? And so this is what critical thinking attempts to do. It says, let's not make an opinion. Let's sit back, let's gather information, and let's look at this. Now, there was a guy in the 1960s called Carl Sagan, and
Mhm.
he said, you know, in the United States and in the world, people really don't think thoughtfully and they don't think critically. And so I'm going to create something that's sort of funny, but actually sticks and people remember it. He called it his bologna meter. Bologna is a piece of meat and you don't even know what goes into it. They just grind it and mix it up together. And so he said, let's go ahead and create a series of things that we have for critical thinking to detect whether we have bologna or whether we have real meat. And
Mhm.
he said, here are the things that you want to look at. Um, Independent confirmation of facts. Okay. You gotta have different sources of information that either say the same thing or the different thing. The different thing is just as valuable as the same thing. If it's the same thing, you can pretty
Mhm.
much hang your hat on it, especially when 3 to 5 sources of information say the same thing. Encourage debate.
Right. I
Go,
mean, your
go
your
ahead.
your critical thinking is very much related to positive thinking, isn't it? I mean, uh, I
It's
remember. This,
it
sorry,
it
go
it
on.
It's funny when you say positive. In my brain, when you say positive, I'm thinking, well, what about the negative side?
Right.
Doesn't the negative side have something to contribute to? But yeah, you're right. You're right. It is. Critical thinking is positive thinking.
Yeah, I remember my school days when I was told that, if a glass is filled half with water, it's up to you. Either you can say it's a half empty or a half full. I mean, it's up to you how you look at things. And I believe when we talk about the critical thinking part, uh, and during this kind of pandemic, the circumstances, I mean, people has to actually look positivity in every aspect. I mean, the negativity has to actually get removed.
You want to be really scared? This creates an existential crisis in some people, okay? This is
Mhm,
what's really scary. Our perception is what determines bad or good.
mhm,
Our perception allows us to decide whether to move forward or whether to stay huddled in a cave. It's not what happens to us, it's what we think about us that actually says, I am going to be successful or not. It's our thinking, it's not
mhm.
the actions that occur. Now, I'm not talking about being run over a car or anything, but it's how we approach the traffic, how we look at the traffic, how we observe the traffic. And critical thinking is one of those tools that allows us to test not the world, but our perceptions. And critical thinking attempts to allow us to set our perceptions aside so we can see things a little more truthfully.
True. True. I mean, life has been so good. All right. I just was thinking these kind of situations also makes you innovative, right? Um, you, I, and Mark were talking on this. How innovative people have become at this 8 9 months, right? From the way to communicate to from way to celebrate, all those things are new, isn't it?
But that's the beautiful thing. For better or worse, we always have change. And when you have change, you have two things, okay? Number one, you have a difference. Wow, something is different. Now, it if you have the perception of glass half full, you can say, how can I take advantage of that difference? And if you have a glass half empty, you can say, what can I protect myself from that difference? Now, you also have, instead of difference, which is called variance, you you have trending. You have patterns over time. And with patterns over time, you have predictability and you have forecasting, and you can be prepared not just for today, but you can hopefully prepare for tomorrow. So, critical thinking in two ways can actually help you become more armed, not just as a business, but as a group of people and as an individual. That didn't work 5 times, so I better change the way I do it. You know, I've I still don't like the recipe, and there's one ingredient that I haven't changed. So let's look at that one ingredient. And that's what we're talking about in our lives and in our jobs and our professions. Again, my favorite futurists and thought leaders, W.E. Deming and Drucker, talked about this all the time. We're going to have to take our professional skills if we want to not just be successful, but take advantage to this in this time. We have to take our professional skills and focus in on our lives, and treat our lives as corporations and businesses. If you want to really propel yourself forward, the skills that we're talking about here are not just business skills, they're personal life skills. In managing oneself, um, Drucker said, you lost your job and you're going to lose your job, and more people are going to lose their job, and it's going to be horrible. And he wasn't talking about a pandemic. He was talking about the change in society due to the acceleration of technology and the embracing of new ways of doing business. And so he said, we're going to have to do these things as individuals. And Deming said, we're going to have to change the way we treat our workers. And so together they were giving a message that says, workers are going to have to work more smart, and businesses are going to have to work more smart, and they're going to have to work hand in hand. And this is what we're doing here. And it starts with the individual. It starts with the CEO and the worker. It's the critical thinking. It's the analytical skills. It's the turning your whole life and your business and community into little experiments that you try a lot of little things and see what works. And then when you find something that works, jump on it and run with it. Run, 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 run.
Right, right. Uh, Now, let me divert a bit on the business side of this. We've been talking long on this, but let's dive into the business angle of it. But before I do that, many congratulations to you for becoming a certified trainer from the PNI. I mean, once again, you were already there, so you renewed your certification, isn't it?
Well, this is actually new. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but Project
Mhm.
Management Institute is standardizing the way project management and business is being taught towards their certifications. And I was awarded a unique opportunity here about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I took advantage of it. And yeah, it's out there. It's a thing. What it does, it's a call to action for me to invest 10 times more in giving back to people and the businesses that support me. It's evident that this is needed more than ever. I've touched 6 or 7 thousand people, and I'm committed within the next 5 years to touch 100,000 people. And I'm trying to figure that out. That's my target for 5 years from now. If I could help in the last 15 years, 6,000 people find better jobs and have better lives and move forward quicker, what could I do, and what would have to be in place for me to be able to do that with a scale of 10? Um, this is my dream, and when I hit 100,000, guess what? I'm going to go up to 1 million, and when I hit 1 million, I'm going to go up to 10 million. Yeah,
Right,
it's a great honor, but with that honor comes responsibility, and I'm up to the task.
right. No, absolutely. I know that you will live it up to that. I mean, there is no doubt on it. But I think over the period, Project Management Institute has been shaping up for betterment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really strange. Um, I got an MBA when it wasn't good to get MBAs, because and a person with an MBA, in the United States in the early 2000s was somebody who spun data and was able to do things that were not right, and that kind of thing. And I was thinking, no, this is a bunch of business skills that shows you how to run a business well. And then I started looking at project management, and I said, look at project management. It's a bunch of skills. to tell you how to do work that's never been done before in a short amount of time in the best way possible. And
Right.
they both have the same objective, which is really interesting. It's just good business uh, um, practice, and that's all the project management is. It's
Sure.
doing it within a limited amount of time, with a limited budget, with limited resources, and still having hope that you're going to pull it off in
But
a
with a great quality intact. The
quality,
quality.
risk,
Yeah.
with the people behind you. It has leadership skills, with all of these things. And the one thing that I really like is that it is based on values. It is a value based practice, and that's what the MBA is too. You cannot get an MBA without having some either A or B in your
Mhm.
morals and ethics courses. You have to get high grades in morals and ethics, and it's firmly good business is firmly founded in intensely important values: wisdom, temperance, justice, courage. These are the things that make good leaders, but these are the things that also make good business leaders, and good leaders in our families, and good leaders in our communities. And this is what I've always been committed to. I said, if I'm going to be a teacher, I'm going to have to teach values first and make sure those values are in place. And with those values, people can actually, when they're in conflict, when they're under a pandemic, they can make the right decision, not just make a good decision, but the right one. And right is really funny. I can do
Mhm.
right because people are looking at me. I can do right because I know it's the right thing to do. But when I do right and it's hard and I don't want to do it and
Mhm.
people aren't watching, that's when you test, and you test yourself. And this is what we're going through right now. It's we're under scrutiny of ourselves. And this is a time where great leaders are made.
Right. Um, Now, let me ask you questions. Since you talk to so many project managers and evolving project managers, I mean, shaping up them. Have you come across? I mean, okay, let me make it more generic. What kind of challenges that you have come across related to COVID? How the project managers are reacting?
Well, first of all, a manager says, I don't have control. A manager has to control. They have to collect data, they have to analyze, and they have to make sure things happen here, 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 and here. That's what management does. It keeps the business running. And under constantly changing environments, that's very difficult. It really is. And so, what we have to look at is not just management, but leadership. Leadership are the soft skills. Leadership are the projection of vision and mission. And it's the projection of, creating an environment of trust so people will follow you. And this is harder. And so, PMI, Project Management Institute, in its wisdom, said back in 2015, said, guys, if you're going to be project managers, you're going to have to learn how to lead. You're not just project managers, you're project leaders, because management keeps the business running. But if you're going to make it through change, if you're going to make it through hard times, you're going to have to learn, that people need people who are responsible, who step up. People
Mhm.
need people who are accountable, people who say, it's my fault. I'll fix it. The outcome's on my shoulders, guys. and I'll take the blame if you do the work. I'll give you the credit and I'll take the blame, and I'll make sure that you guys get the credit. But we have to work together and you have to listen to me. I have the vision. And it's very hard for that, especially when you're put in, and project management is really strange, okay?
Mhm.
Um, we become managers as project managers and we're not taught how to do it. They just say, go do it, go manage that project, right? It's called the accidental profession. So almost to a person in my classes, 350 people a month, they say, I have no power, I have no authority, I don't have any rank, and I still have to make decisions. I have to stay, toe to toe to a vice president in my corporation. That's a career limiting action. And I have to make hard decisions. And how do I do this? And so this is what I see as the greatest challenge. It's the transition from being a manager to being a leader. And it takes a decade to do this, and you make a lot of mistakes along the way. It's a dirty little secret that you can learn Excel in 2 years and be an expert and a master. But to be a leader and to understand people, it takes 1 or 2 decades. And you have to have good examples. You have to
Yeah.
have people who are actually doing this. And when I talk to them, 80% of the people I talk to going through my classes say that their manager says, I don't have enough time. That means that that manager is not good at time management. The manager says, we're mission critical, right? This organization is critical to the success. No, that means that he goes to bed every night thinking that if he doesn't get this right, his people are going to be taken away and he's going to be kicked out of the company. The third lie that every manager is told, whether they're trained or anything, and this is what they live by, is I have good people. I rely on my people. When you hear somebody saying that to you, and this is good for consulting, by the way, and you
Mhm.
always hear this as a consultant. They say, I have good people. When they say that, the person in the back of their mind, maybe even their subconscious, is saying, if I lose these people, I don't know how to do their job, and I don't have anybody who's going to fulfill them. And already I'm in a wagon going down the hill and the wheels falling off with good people, and I'm in a crisis. And so we have managers who were never taught, bless them, who stepped up, and they're doing the best they can with skills that they don't know how to refine, they don't know how to go to, they're ashamed. And so with these people coming into my classes, it takes 2 or 3 classes and then they realize I can let my guard down. I can tell Tim I'm scared. I can tell Tim that this is a messed up situation and how do I get out of it? And so I'm buried. This is one thing that I realize. If you give people a chance and give them an opportunity to complain, you learn so much, and you actually have an opportunity to help people. And this is where Mark and I are in total alignment. Let's do this in our businesses and make sure that the business is still running, but give people an opportunity to vent and be frustrated, be scared, and then create the environment so that our managers and leaders can stand strong. Executives have a role. Vice presidents have a role. CXOs have a role. CEOs have a role. And some of these people don't know what their jobs are. And we've studied this for the last 30 years, and we can actually provide guidance and support. This is the beautiful thing. It's this is all of this is solvable, and it's already been solved. It's just that we're not sharing information in a formal manner.
Right. All I believe and feel personally is when you are asked to do something bigger than your paychecks. Trust me, it's your testing ground. If you work it around, you the winner, you get the position, you get the paychecks, a bigger paychecks. But when you actually come across and keep on saying that, hey, you know what, don't have time, things are out of my hand. I mean, yeah, these are common things, but trust me, the moment you start saying this, people, you're losing trust of your management, of your management.
So,
Yeah,
when we come across this in our section on morals and ethics, you want to work within your skill set because it's a guaranteed satisfaction. Okay, you'll be happier if you work on the things that you like to work on, and your management's going to be happier with the results. But management is always going to ask you to play a little bit outside of your safety zone. And how do you handle this? How do you handle this? And from moral and ethical standpoint, there's one way to do it. It's to be honest and upfront
yeah,
and say, okay, you're asking me something and I don't have the skills for this. And here's why. Now, if you really want me to do it, number one, I'll do it. Number two, you got to have my back. Because if you put me out there and you hang me out to dry and blame me for stuff that I don't have skills for, that's not going to work either. It's having these hard discussions where it's an agreement, where the worker's going out and accepting risk, and the leader is going out and accepting risk and working together. This is where the miracles occur. And as leaders, if we do this, we get the workers who acquire greater skills, the business has greater opportunity, and the workers get skills too, and they grow and they have more satisfaction and fulfillment as well. It's like agile. The reason why agile is so hard to adopt is not because of people not doing it right. It's the relationships. Everybody has a role in agile. Management has to trust that agile's going to work. Management cannot step aside and just let agile do its thing. And this is the problem with a lot of agile implementations. It's everybody's in it together, and when you do have that, that's where the magic occurs. This is where growth occurs. Uh, Corporations top out not because of market share. They top out because they get further and further and further and further away from the work and the workers. And they get further and further away from what they were able to influence in the first place. And so as an executive, it's harder and harder as your company grows, because you're not just influencing the people who are doing the work. You're influencing the people who are influencing the people who are doing the work, and so on and so forth. And so as your corporation matures, it gets really difficult. And if you're not ahead of the curve in building that maturity and building that rich, deep culture as an executive, you have your work ahead of you.
right. I mean, yeah, we are almost at the end of the show here. But talking about talking about the agile, I have a real good scenario, a real life scenario, working on agile stuff. I'll tell this sometime. Probably on Thursday, I can spend some 10 minutes to discuss that. It's a good case study. Why agile failed in some of my projects. All
Let's
right.
talk about that. Let's talk about 100 ways that Agile can crash and burn, and we'll celebrate it. Okay,
Yep.
and again, uh, please, Kumar, remember that it was Peter Drucker who said that every executive has to make decisions. And a third of the time, your decisions are going to be good. And a third of the time, your decisions are going to be bad. And the third of the time, it doesn't matter whether you decide or not.
Right.
This was Peter Drucker who said this. This isn't just Tim. It's these experts who spent their whole life invested in becoming masters. So let's celebrate and let's have fun talking about this. I would love to.
Yeah. I mean, we can have a separate discussion altogether on the leadership and uh, on project management stuff. I think it's long due anyway, right? So we shall do it some Tuesday. We'll pick up this topic as well. But for now, we are meeting on 31st night again. I mean, 31st morning, your time, 10. But yeah, let's create the plans. Let's have the resolutions for the new year, right? And feel free to share it with Tim and Mark and Kumar. We are here.
Let's do it. Let's have a wonderful time, and let's look forward. We've done a lot of backward looking, and I'm ready to start looking forward. Let's and again, if do you go through a business strategic planning on a yearly basis?
Yes, yes, absolutely. We do that.
Cool. Let's talk about that because I just finished mine. And if you're brave, let's go ahead and discuss this because strategic planning is not just for businesses and corporations. People can take advantage of this too.
Yeah. I mean, strategic decisions basically. What and where you want to lead the next year, the entire year, the focus where it has to be. I mean, yeah, we have it. And it's good that you brought this up. We can have spend some time discussing this as well. And this is
That's
really
perfect. That is perfect. Okay, thank you so much. It's always a joy and a pleasure to talk with you, Kumar. You're an open person. You're open to debate as well as you have strong opinions, which is evident as a evidence of a great leader. And it's an opportunity for you and me to both grow and to actually participate with the greater community in these discussions. Let's continue this.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, my queries are not all mine. Let me be very frank, right? So I kind of conquer queries from my neighbors, from my environment. So whatever I see, whatever I hear, I tend to just pass it on to you. And I'm glad that you take those questions and
it's funny. It's funny because what your neighbors and what you are asking is what every single person who goes through my class asks. I will have by the time I'm through 2022, I will have talked to 10,000 people, and I'm confident that we're all thinking and we're discussing and we have the same problems.
right. Great. On this note, enjoy the rest of the day, Tim, and people back in India and the South Asia, enjoy the evening. Till then, thank you so much for hearing us and take care.
Thanks again.
Cheers. Bye bye.